So welcome to Creative Spirit Gathering. I'm your host, Jen Hutchins, for those of you who I haven't met yet. Today, we're going to be talking about mixed media in your art journal, and we're focusing on the theme of light. It's been our theme for this whole month as we moved from the idea of that we are light, claiming that idea. Then last week, we looked at the things that are blocking our light. And today, I really want you to look and examine the gifts that your light brings to the world. So today, it is all about your unique gifts and the way you shine your light in the world. And I have put together a little video for you of this particular journal page, which for me really was about exploring the idea of the light within. Now, I want to start off by saying that I know that in working with artists, a lot of times what I find is that people have this inner critic voice that sometimes pops up when we start talking about, well, I'm just going to say tooting our own horn, right? When we start looking at what are my gifts, what am I good at? What are the creative gifts that I have to give the world? Sometimes when we start leaning into those, we start hearing that inner critic voice that starts going, wait, but are you sure about that? What about this time that you didn't do that thing, right? So today is not about listening to that voice. It's about asking that voice just to go take a seat in another room. Today is about you being present to your light. And I find sometimes for myself, one of the best ways to do this is to talk about myself to myself as though it were coming from the voice of a beloved, because I know that, those really close family members, the ones that support you unconditionally, they don't look at like that one time that you didn't do the thing perfectly, like your inner critic will do. Or when we're looking at things from the perspective of our higher selves, of our spiritual nature, or we're talking about ourselves as though we were the voice of God by whatever name or definition you define that by, but that higher being, that voice, that's the one that is going to call out every beautiful aspect of light that you are and all of the gifts that you have to share with the world. So today, critic voice, bye-bye, ask them to go sit in another room, and we're going to invite that higher voice, the voice of the beloved, to speak of us and to speak of the light of our gifts. I have in several places in my house these crystals that are hanging in the windows. And so when the sun catches them at the right time of day, we get rainbows like in the room. Have you ever done that? Those like beautiful rainbow moments. And so not totally surprising that my light that I ended up focusing on today came out in my journal page as rainbows. And I think it's that idea of the light is not always projected as one color. Light is not always pure white, right? Light itself is made up of all the colors. It is the rainbow that we see, then in the prism becomes reflected in all of these different beautiful colors. And I love to think about that, like our gifts, our unique ways that we shine out into the world might shine in all these different colors if we were to sort of pick apart each little gift that we have. And when we think about what your gifts are, you might naturally be thinking about your creative gifts, right? We're a group of people here in a room called Creative Spirit Gathering. And so I hope that you have already claimed some of your own creative gifts. Maybe you know that you have a gift. You love working with paint. You love working with color. You love mixing things and recreating things on a page. Or you have a gift for photography, for capturing light in a certain way with the lens. Or a gift for creating things with your hand, making things out of felt and clay, and building things out of wood sculptures. You may notice and appreciate those gifts. And I want those to show up for you today. But I also want you to think about your gifts of peace, your gifts of peacemaking, your gifts of kindness, of the way you show up as love in the world, your gifts of patience, And if that's not your gift, that's okay, right? We all have different gifts that we have, that we give to ourselves and that we also give to others. And so as we're thinking about our light and all of these different beautiful colors that make up the light that we are, that we shine out into the world, I want you to think about some of those gifts that maybe don't always go acknowledged. Your gift of holding space for somebody, your gift of teaching. As we acknowledge each of these gifts and all the ways that we have to shine in the world, all the ways that we already have been shining in the world, we are able to not only strengthen our own compassion towards ourselves in those moments where we don't see ourselves exhibiting the gift, right? We can have those moments of compassion and self-forgiveness much more quickly. And we also are able to empower ourselves to step into more fully shining our light and sharing our gifts with the world, whether that is a calling to volunteer with an organization that you love, whether it is a calling to step forward and create something new on the canvas or something new in your life, or if it's just inviting you to see your light reflected back to you in a way that maybe you haven't in a while. So today is all about creating and presencing your light on the page. I'm going to go ahead and pull up the video, how I made this page, so I can talk you through my process for mixed media. And again, for every journal session that we do together, I always invite you to be able to do this process, right? To explore the idea of your inner light and the gifts of your unique light that you shine in the world in any material that's calling to you. So if you're just, really feeling called to watercolor paints today and flow, or the idea of detailed drawing in colored pencils, please, by all means, feel free to get those out. I just love to give you something to think about, a new way of maybe exploring art journaling that you hadn't thought of before. So I invite you today to work with mixed media, to work in any material that is calling to you, that feels like a fun and juicy way of exploring your unique gifts, your creative gifts, your spiritual gifts, your gifts of compassion, your gifts of presence, your gifts of friendship, all these beautiful ways that you shine your light in the world. I invite you again to use this time to lean in as though you were the voice of a beloved speaking to you, that voice that is coming to you with a positive presence, positive words of affirmation for you and your light. If you notice those inner critic voices start to come up, I invite you just to ask them to pause for the time being, or if you want to have a separate little sheet of paper somewhere, you scribble them down, go, okay, got that out of my head, and then presence. Really allow yourself to focus on the positive light that you are. We're going to take that idea right now, and we're going to move into a moment of silent meditation before moving into our journal time. This gives us that grounding, that center, to then move into our journal from our hearts. So wherever you are, I invite you to first take a moment and adjust your body however you might need to. Move your hips, roll your shoulders, stretch out your neck, and let the body come to a still point. If it feels comfortable for you, you might wish to close your outer eyes. As you take in a nice deep breath here, see if you can feel it all the way down to your belly or to your toes. Let the breath anchor you in this present moment. And imagine now breathing into your heart space, breathing into that place of peace, of clarity, of unconditional love. And we're going to take a moment and rest in the heart space. Rest in that presence as we claim and know the light of our being. Breathing in and out, we gently rest in the silence. In the presence of the heart, we ask for clarity on our gifts. What are the gifts of light that we have to give to the world and to ourselves? We bring the awareness of anything that has bubbled up during this time, from our hearts to our minds. We remain open to any other ideas that come forward as we're moving into our creative practice. We wiggle our fingers and our toes, preparing ourselves, moving ourselves back into our bodies. And on the next inhale, open your eyes. And use spirit for this moment to come together in presence and silence and in our hearts. So we move now into our journal expressions, expressing from our hearts our unique light that we give to the world.